does it seem as though it is very hard to prepare for something that is really important for you? Or have you noticed that you actually take time out to invest more time to others instead of yourself? So, welcome back, everybody, to another exciting show of the About That Wallet podcast. I'm your host, Anthony, and I really wanted to dive into the question of preparation because one of those things that I do to prepare, and I actually prepare a lot when it comes to investing into the show, investing to the guest, doing the research, and all this fun stuff that everybody typically don't see behind the scenes unless you are a content creator and actually follow me on Instagram. I do put a lot of content and behind the scenes there. So, one of the things that I wanted to try a little bit differently, because as a lot of people are moving into staying home a little bit more and trying to understand, well, I don't know what to do with myself when I'm home. And most of the time, most people actually define themselves just by what they do every day at work. So this is kind of a run through of the 5 different things that I do to prepare for interviews. So start off with the very first thing. Obviously, it's the 5 ways that I prepare for a show. Let's go on and jump to the second one, which is preparation is the action or process of making ready or being made ready for the use or consideration. So, this is the definition that I'm using throughout this whole presentation today. And hopefully, everybody will enjoy it because this is going to be very entertaining to say. So, the next thing, what is an example of preparation? Well, think about it. When it comes to preparing for going to work in the morning, you have your basic routine. One of the things that most people do for their routine is first you have to wake up, then you roll out of bed. You actually think about your coworkers on how they're going to interact with you. And sometimes that actually will keep you in bed because you know that you have to deal with somebody when you get to work. But you go out on and put your clothes on, you brush your teeth, you get prepared for the day. One of the things that my wife does is call her power hour. She actually gets up early, does her yoga, read, write in her journal, and actually do all this great stuff for her power hour. For me, what I do is I used to wake up, turn on the news, just to kind of know what the weather's going to be like, what the traffic is going to be like, just so I can know what clothes to wear to prepare for the day. But we're going to bring this back to the everyday thing because we all have to prepare for something. We know the weather is going to change, so we always got to wear a light jacket during the fall time, or we start worrying about what are the other things that we have to eat. Do we bring money, or do we actually bring our food for lunch, or do we just grab a drink inside the refrigerator and just say, hey, this is going to be my breakfast. I'll get something when I'm on my way to work or while I'm at work. These are the different things that we have to kind of think about when we start preparing for things. And we actually do a lot of preparations that we don't even take time out to appreciate, really. So, how do I personally prepare for interviews? That's the whole reason why you're here. So, the first thing I do is think of a topic. I think of multiple times when it comes to a series of things. So, perfect example, I wanted to get into real estate and I have no clue of real estate, but I know at least an aunt that I call my aunt that is in real estate. I was like, cool, let me reach out to her and see what happens. So I already thought about the topic of real estate. So the next thing I do is talking about utilizing my social network. And this is where I was trying to utilize friends and family first to see anybody that I know that is currently in real estate that's willing to take a shot to be on my show. So one of the things is that I asked my aunt, she was like, no, it seemed too conversationally and all this extra stuff. And I was like, well, we can make it clear cut and just dive right into it. She still denied. So I was like, cool, it's all right. You can come around whenever you want to. I'm sure she might hear this episode and think about it then. But I was like, all right. So that was the only person I knew that was in real estate personally. So then I was like, well, let me use my social platform. I'm on Instagram. And so I started looking up social media stuff. And one of the people that came across my feed was Sean Ackerman. Shout out to him from I Kept It Real Estate. I Kept It Real Estate. And he is doing big things across the network. And one of the things that he did was talk about how to invest remotely and was very passionate about the process and how he was able to build his real estate foundation remotely. And during this time frame, it was really cool to have that. But again, I'm jumping ahead of myself. Sorry about that. But what I did was utilize my social network to actually find them. Actually, I'm gonna take that back. The very first person I had on the show to talk about real estate was, I'm gonna have to say, is Donovan. He actually talked about his Airbnbs when he was on the show. We were talking about making stupid money mistakes. It wasn't really a real estate episode, but he is invested inside the Airbnb space and had condos available. So that's what we kind of talked about there when it came to real estate. Because that was my first taste of real estate. So I didn't ask all the cool questions that I've asked other people that were inside the arena of real estate. Now, the next thing I have to do is actually schedule the interview. The way how I scheduled the interview in the past was saying, hey, I have a podcast. Do you want to come on the show? And most of them like, sure, just send the link. Cool. And I sent the link. And if you notice in the past, it was just kind of straightforward, pretty flat. And then keeping up with the people and trying to schedule everything using Anchor, which is the platform I actually hosting everything on. And when I was going through that process, it was a lot of back and forth. So that's one of the things that I definitely had to streamline in the process. But as I got better, you start to schedule these interviews and make life a lot easier, because once you got the interview scheduled, the next thing you have to do is start doing the research. This is number 4. You have to research the interviewee. So, perfect example, I would say that I did the most research on was my recent recording that will be published, I'll say next week, right after this episode. But the research that I did on this person was I checked out their website. I checked out all their YouTube channels. I looked at their own podcast because he was also a content creator. And I looked at what his accolades were, what were the things that people are talking about the most, and the things that people are not talking about. So he did a interview through Yahoo Finance, and it looked like Yahoo posted it, and then it just got republished on other networks, which I thought was pretty cool. But I did start talking to him about his personal life that they really didn't have time to dive into. And that's the wonderful things about doing this type of work, is that I get the chance to actually interview people and research them. Now, the number 5 big thing that I do for preparation is show up on time. I cannot stress this enough. Showing up on time is so important because, for one, you did all this work. You have somebody else that's waiting to show up on the show, and you don't show up on time. then it's like, well, where are they at? You wasting this person's time at this point that you've asked them to put a block out and you're not communicating and didn't do anything. So the number one thing is to show up, actually to show up early. I'll say at least 30 minutes early. But definitely you want to be on time, start the show on time. I typically try to start like 15 minutes to 20 minutes ahead of time for the Zoom calls, just to make sure that they have time to set up their mics. If there's any issues, check out the lighting, any notes that we want to talk about before the show, make sure that there are any audio issues, because I have had audio issues from a couple clients, not clients, interviewees, or even notifications on the phone, because some people had their notifications on. I asked if they could turn them off, they didn't, and you actually can see those results inside some of the episodes. I will not say what episodes those are, but you can actually take time out to listen. Um, but the importance of actually being up on time is because it's so important and crucial to the character of who you are, and also what you convey to your audience when they receive this information. So, what are the strategies of actually getting better? One of the things that I try to do to get better at preparation is finding ways to provide value first. So, to get better at what I do, to actually interview people and get better at interviewing them, to prepare for them, is finding ways on how I myself and this platform can provide value to the interviewee. Even if most of you who listen to this show are thinking of, well, maybe I should be on this show. Well, one of the things that I'm actually doing now is actually providing value to you. And by providing value to you, it will make sense for the next guests that are coming on. And maybe if you want to be a guest on the show, just be sure to go onto the aboutthatwallet.com, click on podcasts, and select you want to be a guest. And everything is there. So, the next thing that I do to actually try to get better is market the prior guest. So, the reason why this is so important is the way how you market your guests. Do you market yourself? Do you market, do you only put out a clip? Do you put out the album art? Do you actually take snippets and actually bring them to the front of the show? Do you actually advertise it to other people? How are you? Well, I'm actually talking to myself at this point. How are you marketing your prior guest actually sets the path for the future? Because as you notice, and those of you who have watched me grow through this process, I'm trying so many different things to see which things actually will work. And one of the things that I've noticed that works the best is being truthful, being honest, even on my mess ups. I try to give you as much as raw audio as possible. So you know that if I'm messing up with these ums and uhs and everything like that, it's going to be, it's all in there. I try my best to give you everything, because we're all human. We make mistakes. And honestly, I do not want to waste your time. Even though the ums and ahs, they really do add some little flavor to the show. But, here we are. Yeah, it is what it is. So the next thing I'm going to do to get a little better is also to pace myself. When it comes to releasing these episodes, I try to make sure I put them out every Monday, but also having them out on every Monday requires a sacrifice of me planning and preparing these episodes ahead of time. Now, I do got to get better at my time management to try to get these out a little better and faster and on time. Because remember, in season 1, I was doing everything. I was releasing an episode every Monday. Plus, I was doing an additional episode on Thursdays. And then I realized that Thursdays were becoming a lot for me. And to pace myself, my sleep patterns, and everything like that. Granted, it was fun talking about stocks, but I needed to pace myself. And In order for me to pace myself, I had to slow down, take time out, make sure I get the quality content that you all need, and also get in preparation of finding the right guest for the right topic at the right time. For me, anyway, it's the right topic. For you, I mean, you can always go back and listen to those other episodes. Um, I myself actually go back and listen to those episodes just because it really adds a lot of value to me. And sometimes I just need that level of thought process to change my mindset for the day to actually get me ready for the rest of the day. Now, as I'm talking about the processes, I need to learn to streamline that process. So, streamlining the process helps me create a flow that will allow me to be successful in providing you the best content, the best me at this time to give you everything that is possible. I mean, when you think about it, streamline creating, first off, you got to create a process. So, creating this process that will allow you to be able to prepare for anything that comes at you. So, one of the things that I personally want to do to get better is streamlining the interviewing process. So, getting guests on and streamlining that process. Because sometimes in my questionnaire, I do ask what topics would you like to cover? But if I'm the one reaching out, I already know what topic I want to cover. But having that sensation of making sure revalidating what the person really want to talk about really helps the show go a lot better, because from the time they scheduled it to the time we actually interview is a huge gap in time. Usually it could be almost 2 to 3 weeks before somebody actually decides to schedule to be on the show. Then it takes time for me to prepare that video clip for you all to see. So if I need to put in actual images, do I need to put in little small videos? Do I need to try to find images of that person outside of what we just interviewed to add to the show, to kind of show what the person is actually conveying? Because say if somebody's talking about their favorite dish that they like to cook on the weekends, I can actually ask them, hey, you talked about this dish, can you provide a picture of it so I can show it on the show? And these are the things that I really want to start getting better at. And as you notice, for those of you who watch me on YouTube, is that I've been trying my best to try to throw in some images just to kind of spice up the visuals a little bit instead of just watching me in the background with my books. I know everybody kind of don't mind the books, but I realize some people actually do pay attention on me swapping out the different books for every episode. Sometimes you might see duplicates only because either I, one, personally was not prepared to swap out the books, and here we are. So let's bring to the final question of the day, which is, how do you actually prepare for the future? I want you to think about all the things that you do when you're preparing for the future. Say you're preparing for a child to come into your life. How do you prepare for that? Most parents will say you're never going to be fully prepared. And more than likely, you're not. But you can at least control the controllables, which is one, you make your house, childproof. You get rid of a lot of the clutter that you have around so the child doesn't get into it, get sick, and so forth. You start thinking about, the people that you hang around with. You start thinking about, okay, well, this two-seater car isn't going to help out when we're bringing on this new baby. Some people think about the vehicles that they drive. Um, is it too old, or does it feel safe to have a child in? I mean, back in the day, a lot of the seats didn't have, seat belts, but yet we still made it here and we survived all of that. So these are the things that I really want people to start thinking about, or I really want you to start thinking about. Granted, you say if you don't even want children right now, say that you're preparing for a new job and you don't know what's going to happen, but you know that your current job right now is actually paying for your bills, is paying for everything that you have. It is And then it's like, how do you leverage your current job to get you to that next level? And that's one of the things that I want you to kind of think about going forward is why now? Why are you actually preparing for something that you really don't care about? Why are you preparing for these seasonal changes? And easily said is you can have so many answers to that question, but I want you to start preparing yourself for a better you, a better financial you by taking the time out today and go ahead on into the website aboutthatwallet.com and go to the store, purchase your budget calendar. I really want everybody to get better at preparing their finances for the different seasons. Make sure you get your copy because I'm keeping the price the same. You can download it right now and actually start budgeting out for the holidays, for the birthdays, things that aren't going anywhere, that are pretty much staples in your calendar. I want you to start thinking about those and being a better preparer. You'll be surprised on how people actually treat you when you are prepared. Even at work, you can go to work and say, hey, you always have everything neat and ready to go. Always have the meetings early, always have the presentations ready, always, always, always. And you hear those, and then people will start to follow. You need to start becoming a better preparer. When you become a better preparer, you will become a better you. All right, everybody. I want to thank you so much for being part of this segment of the show. Please be sure to stay tuned, stay locked in, because these algorithms are really killing the me reaching out to you all. So if you're not locked in, meaning like you're got the bell notification up on your YouTube or even in Instagram and in Facebook, if you do not have those on, you actually are missing out on some of this content that I am putting out. So I do not want you to miss out on any of that. So please do that. And by all means, everybody, be safe out there. Be a better preparer. Be a better you. You got this, all right? Trust me, if I believe in you, you got to believe in yourself, because I know you can do it if I can do it. All right, everybody.